is the awe and mystery which reaches from the deepest inner mind to the outer limits.
Gentlemen, before we start the meeting proper, you've probably noticed we're shooting part of the new film that we're making, and we'd ask you, if you would, to bear with us, bear with the slight noise that the filming may make and with the bright light. But if any delegate finds the situation quite intolerable, if they would ask, we will ask the cameraman and the director to stop shooting and turn the lights out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I turn to the Director General to present this report to the Council.
The Council of CERN is made up of delegates from the 13 member states. The purpose of the European Organization for Nuclear Research is to further collaboration in scientific research of a purely fundamental nature.
What you're about to see, hear, and feel are the memories of your ancestor.
Unlock your past by exploring your genetic memories with the Assassin's Creed DNA bundle from Family Tree DNA. An inner warrior could be coursing through your veins. Jump back in time using our revolutionary technology. Go to FamilyTreeDNA.com/Assassin's Creed now to find out what's in your DNA. See Assassin's Creed.
CERN is not concerned with nuclear power and does no military work. The results of its research are published or in other ways made freely available. During the meetings of the Council, there are scientists, civil servants, diplomats, all mixing together, can't even tell them apart, all of them passionate about particle physics, accelerators.
On a souvent dit que CERN naît d'un désir commun de physiciens d'avoir des instruments de travail qui n'étaient plus à l'échelle d'un seul pays en Europe.
CERN arose from the common desire of European physicists to have equipment bigger than a single country could provide. But this is only a part of the story. At that time, diplomats and statesmen in Europe were keenly interested in the idea of European unity and wanted to see this exemplified in an important cultural enterprise. 1951, UNESCO calls an intergovernment conference. 1952, Geneva is chosen as seat. 1954, site work begins. The grand scheme was to build a machine bigger than any in the world. It was a project that was both ambitious and clearly defined, but it was going to need the breaking of new ground all the way. The outstanding thing is that it worked.
My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive. When I was a child, I saw my mother killed by something impossible. My father went to prison for her murder. Then an accident made me the impossible. To the outside world, I'm an ordinary forensic scientist, but secretly, I use my speed to fight crime and find others like me. And one day, I'll find who killed my mother and get justice for my father. I am the Flash. Nia, I don't know how to thank you for saving my family.
You really don't have to. Honestly, Iris saved me. When my powers started fritzing, I thought that I was losing my path as the dreamer. So I held on tighter, but Iris helped me realize that giving up control was what I needed to do all along.
Turns out we were both on the right path. We just needed to adjust our perspectives.
Mental health issues affect people of all ages, income levels, and cultures. No one is immune. advocate for and promote mental well-being in your life and to those around you. You're not alone. The more you know.
There is a sort of gathering scenario where not only our lives but our entire economy may be changed by genomics in the way it was changed over the last 30 years by the digital revolution. And so I want to bring in Andrew Hessel live from California to discuss that. Andrew has many hats. He's a microbiologist, an entrepreneur, the co-author of a book called The Genesis Machine, Our Quest to Rewrite Life in the Age of Synthetic Biology. Andrew, are you with us? Can you hear me?
I am. Hi, Bruno.
Excellent.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Andrew. Andrew, it has been about a couple of decades since the Human Genome Project, and the cost of an individual sequencing of a genome went down from many thousands of dollars to just a few hundreds. Now we have factories that sequence genomes, and I've heard you talk about this in terms of genomics economy based on genomic networks. Tell us what you mean by genomics economy.
Well, sequencing any genome costs money. Again, as you alluded to, the very first ones cost millions of dollars. The very first one cost $1 billion. But now it's sub $1,000, and we can extract a lot of value out of this genomic information. We're just learning how to interpret it and extract value for both health and potentially economy. Whether it's medicine development, whether it's understanding how our various traits link to the way a drug is developed and so on. So there is an emerging biological economy coming from the world of genomic sequence information.
Now, you sent us a slide, which you're going to project now, that basically tries to describe how the actual value of the sequenced genome is way higher than the cost to sequence that. Describe and decrypt this graph for us.
Okay, the line that's sloping downward is the cost of DNA sequencing, which again has exponentially decreased faster than Moore's law. So we've seen the cost of sequencing plummet. We crossed an inflection point several years ago where the value that we can extract from the average genome exceeds the cost of sequencing if it's amortized over a few years. What this produces is the potential for a positive feedback effect, where a company, for example, can come along and say, we will sequence you for free because they know how to extract more value out of your genome in terms of these various types of opportunities, diagnostic tests, personalized medicine, etc.
Love from a cheek swab? That's what founders of a new app are promising.
What if I told you that with this genetic cheek swab, I could tell you who you'd be attracted to and who's going to be attracted to you based on your cheek cells? Well, I'm a data scientist.
And I'm a geneticist. And there's over 40 years worth of research showing that there's 11 genes responsible for attraction.
They're calling the app Pheromore, a cross between pheromone, the small molecules that are emitted from the body and are smelled by the people around us, and amour, the French word for love. Their app, which launched earlier this month, came in second at a recent tech event called Startup Grind.
Pheromore looks at genetics-based human attraction and social media metadata to help people increase their efficiency of dating.
Pheromore hones in on 11 genetic markers collected from that cheek swab that they say have been proven by scientists to be responsible for attraction. But one scientist at UC Berkeley isn't buying it.
Our ability to predict anything from genetic data is relatively poor. And something like mate choice, who you are attracted to, we really can't predict that at all. So when people are trying to sell genetic prediction for mate choice, it's to a certain degree selling snake oil because we can't really do it. The genetics is not worked out well enough yet.
But the founders stress that the app doesn't just look at genes. It pairs the genetic information with your social media activity to get a fuller picture of your personality and interests.
So you download the app, you purchase the kit, you instantly start to match with local singles based on the metadata from social media. When you swab your cheek, you send it back to us. It takes about 2 weeks, and the genetic information will just enhance the compatibility scores.
In addition to finding romance, the company says Pheromore is also saving lives.
The same 11 genes that we look at for attraction are used to fight blood cancers.
We have a partnership with Gift of Life, which is a national cancer registry. We ask all of our users if they'd like to consent and be part of the registry. This means if they're a match for someone with leukemia, lymphoma, or other blood disorder, they may be contacted at another time.
The DNA test costs $19.99, then it's $10 a month for the service. Perhaps a small price to pay if their science can lead to love. Dina Mitchell for VOA News, Redwood City, California.
I have a secret that I want to share with you. A single strand of hair is all it takes to be matched with the one person that you are genetically guaranteed to fall in love with.
Right now, you're selling me a fairy tale.
This will change relationships and dating forever. They won't ever be the same again.
She's reckless. Sooner or later, one of her stunts is going to blow up.
Police came to see me. There's going to be an investigation. We're here to establish how a man died.
She committed suicide.
Do you believe her?
I don't know what to believe anymore.
True love. Isn't that what we all want? We deserve the fairy tale. You have no idea the sacrifices I've made for this company.
It's this matching thing. It messes with people's heads.
What's got into you? If we'd never met, do you think you would have got matched?
Why would you obstruct the investigation like that? We're gonna find out what happened. You may not get the truth. Other people, they get to be happy, but I don't.
I knew I should never have trusted you. This is on you. We'll make our choices.
Maybe none of us really know what's most important until we have to choose.
That now creates a runaway effect where they can keep adding people to their network and generating a surplus economically every time. I'm expecting this to tip over sometime soon, and when it happens and is done well, in the same way that Google and Facebook have learned to generate economy from their participants, we're going to see essentially billions of people and their genomes come online in a very This is due to happen. We're poised on this economic cliff now.
So are you saying that we're going to kind of go from big tech to big gen, and these companies are kind of control that value?
There's a real possibility of that. What we're already seeing with some of the companies on the forefront of genome sequencing is they're making it very clear that this is your data. This is your program, essentially, but they're acting more as an agent or a representative or knowledge extractor, and they'll split the profits in the same way that Apple splits the profits from software developers on their platform. So, but they can optimize for different things, whether it's you want to get your best health information or whether you want to make more money from your genome. But it looks like there will be a big gen company. What I described in an article is the Google of genomics, poised to appear.
So another topic that you've been writing about and talking about is digital twins. Explain what you mean and how that relates to health.
Well, in the same way that your genome really represents your program, we're leaving more and more digital information in our lives today, whether it's our emails, our social media, et cetera, et cetera. All of that information can be gathered and collected to make a very good digital representation of you, almost a digital twin. This can go down at a systems level, your whole body, if your body's been scanned, right down to the cellular level today, which you can think of as a virtual twin of a living cell, which is now increasingly testable. So these digital twins, or you can think of them as avatars, are going to become much more important for understanding an individual, their health, their development, their metabolism, and so on. So this is going to be, I believe, one of the main applications of AI analysis and the incredible amount of digital information that we're collecting about each other.
Andrew, you're involved with a company that works on developing new viruses, and the intention is to attack cancer cells. And what you do is basically programming a virus, is a work based on data. Now, if we can program a virus with benign intent, that probably means that we can also program one with malicious intent. Are we entering a time of very easy virus design?
Yeah, so I've been working in the field of synthetic biology now for over a decade, which is really learning how to program biological systems. And the easiest things to program, because they have the smallest programs, are viruses. And I look at viruses as essentially USB sticks, memory drives, that need a cell, which you can think of as a computer, to execute the programs, but they're very specific for plugging in. So we design viruses that when they dock with a cancer cell, essentially load a program that says, cancer cell, you need to die. But just like software that we may have on a computer software on a USB stick, it can deliver a useful program or it can deliver malware. So I think we're in probably the most significant period in biotechnology for the next 20 years, where we have to figure out the right systems to drive it towards positive applications and minimize the potential for biological hacking, so to speak.
Are those 20 years only significant or also problematic and risky?
Yeah, we're at this point where it's very, the tools for designing these very simple agents, viruses and other infectious diseases, are becoming, are now accessible and affordable for a larger group of people, raising the possibility of hacking. But these tools can also be one of the most powerful tools for medicine, for climate change, and for manufacturing, because cells really are the most efficient and sustainable form of making the things that humans need, whether it's food or medicines or materials.
I'm going to ask you a question about climate change in a sec, but you were recently here in Geneva for a conversation and a conference about science and policy. How solid is our policy process and infrastructure to understand and confront the things you have been discussing so far?
Well, you know, there's policies that have been in place for managing economies, for managing science and large groups of science like CERN, and politics, just the relationships between countries. I don't think these systems that we have today, which are very high touch, often very personal, very paper based, are going to work for digital biology. This digital biology can move at the speed of software, because you can think of the cells as the computers. They're already there. They're just waiting for us to be able to write better programs. I think we're going to need a digital layer of these types of regulatory mechanisms that are working 24/7 in real time alongside these digital tools, in the same way that the internet today has a digital security layer that keeps all of our systems up and running in the background, that is really not transparent to the person sitting down and accessing a website or their bank, etc.
Andrew, one last question. You mentioned climate change, and of course when we talk about sequencing a genome, we are not only talking about the human genome, we're talking about all of life. To what extent do you think genomics can help us confront the climate and biodiversity crisis?
I think it's the most powerful technology that we have. We're as successful as we are today because of, we've used natural resources heavily to build society. Now I think we're coming around and realizing all these ecosystems, all these organisms are really important. We don't know that much about them. So there's efforts today to go and collect genomes from every known species, sequence them, archive them, biobank them, and soon we'll actually start to engineer them to help replace to help prop up endangered species, even de-extinct some of the recently lost species. But more than that, start to use these biotechnologies, engineer them precisely in controlled environments to help produce the things that we need for the future in a much more sustainable way than we've been able to do in the past with chemical technologies. So I look at it as a shift from natural resources to supernatural resources, and genomics is going to be a major part of that work.
Andrew, thank you for being with us and sharing your knowledge with this audience. Thank you very much.
The apple in the brew, let the sleeping death seep through. Look on the skin, the symbol of what lies within. Now turn red to tempt Snow White to make her hunger for a bite. Have a bite? It's not for you, it's for Snow White. When she breaks the tender peel to taste the apple in my hand, a breath will still, a blood congeal. Then I'll be fairest in the land.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is fairest of them all?
You are the fairest, but there is another destined to surpass you. Consume her heart and you shall live forever. Droid.
Droid DNA augmentation initiated. Neural speeds increasing to 4G LTE. Brain upgrading to a quad-core processor. Predictive intelligence with Google Now complete.
Introducing Droid DNA by HTC. It's not an upgrade to your phone, it's an upgrade to yourself.
I have the potential to imagine the unimaginable. Think the unthinkable. See the unseeable. With the arsenal of the world's leading technology at my fingertips, I now have the ability to invent the uninventable. Rebranding into its future, Intel has enlisted House of Gaga to collaborate on a project that will showcase technology through creativity at the highest level. Our partnership will culminate in a performance that inspires to remind the world of the seed of innovation, the wizard behind the curtain, the mind behind the machine. Intel. Gaga.
Right now, CERN is the best place in the world to do the high energy physics science. So scientists want to come here. The role in the next few years would be to see, in a very realistic way, if the vision of the scientists and their desire is actually realistic, can it be fulfilled, both on the technological side, on the scientific side, and on the financial side. And to find the way to do that and agree if things are possible or not are the main challenges that I see in the year ahead. There is a saying in Hebrew, "Hazorim bedim'a berinai ktzoru," those who sow in tears will reap with joy. Now here at CERN for the last years there was a lot of reaping with joy. And now we come to the much more challenging part, which is we need to sow. I hope in metaphorical tears, but the sowing for the future is our responsibility. It is very difficult. It requires ability to form consensus, identify and form consensus, and I think that my past experience has shown me that I have the capability to do that, and this drives me to try and contribute my talents for the organization for the next 3 years.
In Disney's Snow White, we see an apple dipped into a substance, black rain or black goo, and it turns the flesh of the apple black. Snow White, whose name indicates that she was blemish-free, received the black goo and ate from it. It contaminated her like it did Eve in the garden. What both of these characters ate was something that would eventually kill them. Interestingly, Lady Gaga also portrayed black rain in a commercial for her perfume called Fame. You'll notice her perfume is black, but she boasts that it goes on clear and doesn't have any residue. However, in her promotion, we see a very different story. Lady Gaga enters into the abyss through a portal. There is black rain all over the place, and she begins to bathe in it, and becomes completely covered in it by the end of the commercial. It doesn't dry clear, it contaminates her entire flesh. She emerges from the pit of black rain with a crown on her head. Interestingly enough, women are often portrayed in film as the recipients of the black rain or goo. Could this be because Eve was the first person in history to be contaminated, and she led her husband to receiving this contamination as well? Black rain is the substance of the abyss. CERN celebrated this in their art exhibit called Collide. So is a collision coming? A collision of two worlds? We are told in scripture and the apocryphal literature that something will come out from inside the earth during the end times. The abyss will be opened. This is confirmed in Revelation and reinforced in the book of Enoch. Something was buried deep inside the earth. Revelation 9 tells us that locusts with human faces will be released upon the earth, and they will torment those who do not have the seal of God upon their foreheads. The king of the bottomless pit will come out as well, and his name will be Abaddon. Enoch reinforces the idea of a pit or an abyss, a place where a group of Nephilim were imprisoned until they will be let go for the purpose of their own judgment. Their release will happen in the end times. Their penalty will be brought by the Elohim because they tried to infect humanity by having sexual relations with women. DNA infection, manipulation of the human genome, has truly been one of the chief ambitions of this other realm since the birth of the human one. These creatures will use any means necessary to contaminate the human flesh and the offspring of humanity.
More than 11,000 scientists signed a petition calling for population control as a means of combating climate change. That's this week's Speak Out segment. In an article published in the journal Bioscience, the scientists wrote that Earth is, quote, facing a climate emergency. They argued that population control was a necessary response to this emergency, writing, quote, the world population must be stabilized and ideally gradually reduced.
I've done a lot of research on population control, and when I found out that in the past 80 years the population has tripled, I decided what a great idea to have a villain who decides he wants to fix that.
Bertrand Zobrist is a genius, a billionaire genius, and he's very, very concerned about population control, and very, very outspoken about it.
Now, we are destroying the very means by which life is sustained, and why?
He's also deeply concerned that the World Health Organization and other organizations are doing, by his account, nothing about it, and he takes it upon himself to solve that problem in kind of a unilateral and horrifying way.
Human overpopulation is the disease. Inferno is the cure.
In his mind, the way to make the difference is to cull the Earth's population by half. And that is what Langdon is thrust into, and it's pretty chilling.
He created a plague.
The Dan Brown ideas are so forward-thinking. They're controversies that are not going to go away. There's still real questions and real insights, and it touches a chord, it presses some buttons.
This equation has four factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero, and that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Come on, don't do this, Sienna, don't. You'll be murdering innocents.
Yes, people will die. A lot of them, but the crisis will be averted. It's what nature demands. The problem won't just be slowed down, it'll be solved permanently.
Killing billions to save lives. That's the logic of tyrants.
For a greater good, humanity...
Genius does not come with extra rights,
No,
Sienna.
it comes with the responsibility to take action when others won't.
On the wall, who is fairest of them all?
You are the fairest, but there is another destined to surpass you.
What does she want from me?
Consume her heart, and you shall rule forever.
Did CERN hint at their plans with the unveiling of this video called Black Rain, the birth of the abyss upon the Earth?
God help us all. In
In 1954, we awakened something.
You have no idea what's coming.
Latest technologies.
I want to talk to somebody.
Scientific monster machines.
You are not fooling anybody.
What is it you are seeking?
The journey beyond the physical world. The journey beyond the physical world known to us.
You're lying.
What is it you are seeking?
I want the power to destroy my enemies and save my family. Power to destroy my enemies. Power to destroy my enemies.
We awakened something. We awakened something.
Latest technologies, scientific monster machines, and a journey beyond the physical world known to us.
What is it you are seeking?
I want the power to destroy my enemies and save my family.
The arrogance of man is thinking nature is in our control. We awakened something. The arrogance of man is thinking nature is in our control.
I have been waiting an eternity. 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 Drink.
He said that the government is building these ships. So when do we let the people know? Our mission is to assure the continuity of our species. Wasn't it also decided that people have the right to fight?
What is it you are seeking?
I want the power to destroy my enemies and save my family.
The end of time to occur this year. This year. This year. This year.
And the prophecy in Revelation is men are going to want to die and they cannot. And this is one of the reasons why they've downloaded their consciousness, their souls into transhuman vessels, cannot die.
So good to me. You're so good to me every day long. See Jesus in the morning. See Jesus in the noonday hour. See Jesus in the evening before the sun is going down. He said, "Night, and it shall be given to you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door will be open to you, and he will come on in and sup with you a while." Everybody ought to seek Jesus in the morning. Seek Jesus in the noonday hour. Seek Jesus in the evening before the sun of the Lord, they will surely trust in Him. For the Lord never will forsake the one who is honestly, oh Lord, and seeking Him. Everybody on, seek Jesus in the morning, seek Jesus in the noonday hour, seek Jesus in the evening, before the sun is going down. He said, "Knock, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and the door will be open to you, and He will come on in and talk with you a while." Without faith it is impossible to please the Lord. We must first believe that He exists and He rewards every one of us. Those who know the name of the Lord, they will surely trust in Him. For the Lord never will forsake the one who is unlovely. Seeking Him, hallelujah. Everybody ought to seek Jesus in the morning, seek Jesus in the noonday hour, seek Jesus in the evening, before the sun is going down. He said, "Knock, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and the door will be open to you, and He will come on in and talk with you a while." Everybody on, seek Jesus in the morning, seek Jesus in the noonday hour, seek Jesus in the evening, before the sun is going down. He said, "Knock, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and the door will be open to you, and He will come on in and talk with you a while." Hallelujah. Yes, He will. He'll come in. He'll come in. If you're seeking, He'll come in. If you're seeking, He'll come in. Bless your name, Jesus. Bless your name, Jesus.